We got updates today on Scream 8 and Saw 11. Which sequel is gonna be better? Let's talk a little bit about it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I want to be a fighter, like you.
Oh, let it burn! Let it burn!
Did you miss me?
You have to shoot them in the head. They always come back.
The boat can leave now. Tell the crew.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Good luck.
Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake. Today we have some very exciting horror movie updates, but before we get into all of that, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the page for more videos just like this. We're covering all kinds of horror news on this page, so if you're subscribed, you'll stay up to date on everything going on in the world of horror. Also, please consider supporting the page on Patreon, where you can see uncut and uncensored versions of the reaction videos that go up on this page all the time. There's 2 Dexter videos a week on this page, you might have noticed. They're pretty good videos, give them a watch. All right, now let's get into the news. Kicking this off with a really disappointing update here, Chuck Russell, the director of horror hits such as Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, The Blob reimagining from the late 80s, is embracing generative AI to create 2 new feature films. Through his new Gen AI company called New Morphic AI, Chuck Russell will be heading 2 different projects, one called Hyperia and one a lowercase b. Sounds real intriguing from the title, baby. That last one, by the way, is going to star a robot. So, it's gonna be really relatable to us human beings. And Hyperia centers on a fugitive thrown into a punishing hover sled race on an extraterrestrial world governed by a rogue AI. Hyperia, huh? I can think of a different H word to describe that movie, and it's hypocritical. Chuck Russell has absolutely taken a massive diarrhea dump all over his career with this move, and I have no respect for him anymore. What the fuck is this, dude? If you're interested in this diarrhea slop, we absolutely will not be covering it on this page, because neither of these movies are real movies. Chuck Russell has put a massive blemish on his career, and I really hope that he just cuts ties with all of this very soon. Mark Fishbach's feature directorial debut, Iron Lung, was a huge success at the box office earlier this year, and now it's finally coming to digital on May 31st, here exclusively on YouTube. At Cannes Film Festival, the YouTuber turned horror director Markiplier talked a little bit about how you will be able to see the film again here on YouTube exclusively on May 31st. With a micro budget of $4 million, which yes, isn't a whole lot of money to a feature film, would change a single person's life, however, it racked up over $50 million at the box office, which I think says a lot more about Markiplier's fans than it does the actual film itself. That's not to say I disliked Iron Lung, I just don't think it was like the greatest thing I've ever seen. I can't lie though, seeing Markiplier absolutely kill it in this lead role while he was also writing, directing, doing all of the different things on this movie, really fucking impressive. Maybe it was a little long in the tooth, but I can't help but praise and uphold this project, which is truly a massive feat. Hopefully we get a physical release of this too. I would love to pick it up sometime, and I hope that Mark makes another movie at some point, dude. His gaming videos are a ton of fun, and my fiance and I will continue to watch them until the end of time, but he shows a lot of promise as a filmmaker, man. I think whatever he does next, it's gonna be even better. If you missed Iron Lung in theaters, you'll be able to check it out very soon at the end of the month here on May 31st. Stay tuned for a hopeful update on a physical release of this one. FX has just given the green light to a series based on Young Frankenstein, titled Very Young Frankenstein. Based on the Mel Brooks horror comedy that kinda shares the same name, the pilot was directed by Taika Waititi, who's probably best known for Thor Ragnarok, but his What We Do in the Shadows TV series is fucking hilarious. It's also a horror comedy series based on the movie of the same name, and the show fucking rocks. So hopefully this show does too. Zach Galifianakis, Dolly Wells, and Spencer House star, and the series was written by Stephanie Robinson. Nick Grad, the president of FX, said of the film, Very Young Frankenstein blends inspiration from the fan favorite movie with the inventive, irreverent spirit that has defined FX comedies over the years, making this a completely original take on the classic story. In the hands of FX veterans Stephanie, Taika, and Garrett, alongside the iconic Mel Brooks, we know that fans will have as much fun watching the series as we're having making it. Young Frankenstein is a rare comedy that still holds up today for many reasons, and one of those big ones is Gene Wilder. It's gonna be hard to do any sort of continuation without him, of course, but I'm very down to see what this is all about. Gene Wilder, one of the best actors of all time, I will gladly die on that hill. IFC has a new shark movie coming out that sounds eerily familiar. Killer shark movie CHUM arrives on June 5th, and the trailer has just released. Alice Eve is probably the most recognizable name from the cast, and the entire movie itself sounds very, very, very similar to Dangerous Animals. The plot follows a newlywed couple who join friends on a Mediterranean yacht excursion, only to find themselves caught between a predatory shark and a psychopathic killer in their midst, transforming a sun-drenched escape into a fight for survival.
Something feels off.
What?
This psychopathic killer is feeding these people to sharks in the water. Does that sound familiar?
Welcome aboard.
Dangerous Animals, in my opinion, was such a special film because the performances were electric. Both Jay Courtney and Hasse Harrison delivered career best performances, like without a doubt, in that movie. If you haven't seen it, it's criminally underrated. From the trailer, I'm just not impressed by a lot of the performances, and it looks really derivative of Dangerous Animals from last year. Dude, that movie kicks ass. If you haven't seen it, check that one out instead. This one's going up against Scary Movie here in a couple of weeks, so we'll see how it fares. If you've been on the internet in the last couple of days, you've either had Obsession totally spoiled for you, or you have seen everybody just come out in love and praise of Bear from this movie. Everyone seems to love this guy, and there's absolutely nothing negative to be said about him. I kid, of course. Michael Johnston's performance in this movie is fucking awesome. Indy Navarrete, I mean, come on, she steals the show, but Michael Johnston really sells this villainous character. Now, we're gonna talk some spoilers about Obsession, so if you have not seen the movie, go check it out and then come on back. Don't get this one spoiled. Go see it. Michael just revealed an alternate ending to the film that totally would have changed the way we look at that outcome. In the original ending to Obsession, Nikki would have died alongside Bear. Johnston said of this, there was a whole practical blood splatter. It was absolutely devastating and it looked so real. So this is kind of a touchy subject here on YouTube, but let's say this pencil is the item in Nikki's hand at the end of the movie. She puts this item in her mouth and goes bang. Now, before Freaky Nikki turns into regular Nikki again after the wish was broken, she was actually going to do that anyways. So my guess is they filmed a version of this take where she pulled the thing, you know, the thing on the item. God, it's so annoying trying to beat around the bush here, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. My brainwaves hopefully are going into yours. Johnston continued saying, after we filmed that, Curry said, we've got to do a take where she lives just to have it as a backup. I believe we only did one take and Indy absolutely killed it to the point that we all realized her surviving is so much more tragic because it just makes your mind wonder, now what is going on for her? Is she going to be arrested? It's so awful. It's so mean. This is such a mean movie, but I love it. It's the signature Curry Barker style. It gives you some food for thought right at the end. We might be ending here, but this story is not over. I completely agree with Michael and Curry on this one. The ending we got was so much better than that. Yes, that would have been a great big shock, but the story definitely would have been over. Nikki surviving lends itself to a much more tragic fate worse than death that I think is way scarier than anything you could have done there. I will also mention that I did a big video yesterday talking about a sequel to Obsession. Curry Barker recently talked about how he wanted to do some sort of like sequel anthology series. While I got to pitch some fun ideas there, and you should definitely check out that video in case you missed it, I just don't think Obsession needs a continuation by any means. There's this odd trend in horror happening right now where we're seeing all of these popular standalone movies get these unnecessary continuations. Like Longlegs 2 is dropping at the top of 2028, and we also have an Aunt Gladys prequel. In both cases, I just don't think we need those movies. I'll see them, just like how I'll see some sort of continuation to Obsession, but I just don't think it's actually going to add anything to the original film. A lot of these movies are perfect as they stand. I would hate for some sort of continuation to Obsession, Weapons, or Longlegs to ruin what's already on the page as it is. I don't want to know what happens to Nikki next. What's going on in my brain is much worse than anything you could put to film. Sometimes not knowing is scarier than anything you could possibly put down on the page. Speaking of Longlegs 2, Nicolas Cage has just talked a little bit about what he knows of this upcoming sequel. Chatting with THR, Cage said, I guess you could say I have the pride of ownership of that character. That character is personal to me because I was influenced by my mom. Not that my mom was crazy like that, she wasn't satanic, but I don't want someone else playing my mom. So if they're gonna do it, you're doing it with me. He also talks about being wary of the new Paramount, saying, I don't know what the story is and I have not met with new Paramount. I have worked with the old Paramount, my whole family has a lot of projects there, so to me, me, there's really a lot of history there. Face Off, The Godfather. I hope that whatever happens, they have the same regard for movies and filmmakers. Every time I hear something come out of Nicolas Cage's mouth, I just love him even more. Longlegs 2 doesn't seem to be a traditional sequel by any means. It's just a story that exists within the same universe and somehow features Cage again. I'm guessing it's some sort of prequel considering what happens to Dale at the end of that first movie. I hope we get to see Micah Monroe again in some capacity, but I feel like that's unlikely. One thing is for sure though, Osgood Perkins is like the busiest dude in Hollywood at the moment. He has a new movie called The Young People that's coming out sometime later on this year, yet to get a release date. And then this sequel to Longlegs drops at the top of 2028 on January 14th. Mind you, that will mark 5 movies for the guy in 4 years. When does Oz ever sleep? I don't know. Scary Movie has just released a ton of new posters that seem to parody some of the more popular horror flicks from the last decade or so. First up, we have Regina Hall doing a parody of Ma, which by the way is getting a sequel. We all just sort of forgot that Ma 2 is on the way, and I'm like way too excited for that dumb movie. Next up, we have a Backrooms parody featuring Ghostface against the wall. The subtitle here says, "What happens in the backroom stays in the backroom." Sounds like Ghosty here is getting a little handsy. My absolute favorite of the bunch is a parody of Weapons that reads at the top, "Last year at 2:17 a.m. Anna Faris tripped while texting and accidentally agreed to do another." I think that's one of the best gags from this entire movie so far. That's great. Next up is a parody of Sinners that definitely wasn't made with AI that says, "Let the sinning begin." Seriously, marketing team? Come on now. Then there's a Get Out parody poster that says they asked the director of Get Out for a sequel and he said nope. It features one of my favorite shots from the trailer of Shorty getting sucked into the couch. Marlon Wayans' Shorty is just a direct line to my funny bone. I don't know what it is, he just cracks me the fuck up. That goofy ass laugh too, oh my god.
Lunch is not a class, shorty.
It is when you got the munchies.
A Smile parody poster shows the actual Ghostface mask, not the Scary Movie Ghostface mask, coming out of a fly saying "Get ready to smile." And finally, a Substance movie parody poster that says "Scary Movie, you won't find any substance here," with Shorty crawling out of the back of Demi Moore, I guess. Alongside these posters coming out, it was also announced that if you get to go and see the movie kind of early on Thursday, June 4th, you'll be met with some bonus content during the screening. This is only going to happen during the 7 p.m. screening at participating locations, and ticket holders will receive a limited edition collector's art print, so maybe you'll be able to pick up one of these posters, and hopefully not the Sinners one. The marketing team may be taking an L here, but I'm still excited for this movie dropping on June 5th. We have a bit of an odd Saw 11 update coming from the president of International over at Lionsgate, that is of course Helen Lee Kim. She has specifically said that James Wan is in the trenches right now trying to figure out the future of the Saw franchise. I think some fans are definitely going to hear that and get a little worried and wonder what the hell does that mean? But I also think that ever since we got this announcement that Blumhouse and Lionsgate were in a joint effort to create more Saw movies and kind of like start a whole new timeline, I figured we were probably going to be setting up some sort of requel trilogy in the same vein as like the new Scream movies or the new Halloween movies. You know, where the first requel is like a pretty good comeback that reintroduces you to the world and where it is many years later, and then the 2 sequels that follow totally fuck it all up. That's just a joke. You guys know how much I love Halloween Kills and Scream 6. The point being here is that I think the wait is because we're likely planning out 3 movies before we even start to figure out the first one. There has been argument after argument about if the Halloween trilogy was planned out all at the beginning. I just really don't think it was. Or if it was, something definitely changed, because there are things that are just not consistent across all 3 of those movies. That really bugs me, especially on rewatch. And with Scream, obviously there's no argument about that. We all remember all the bullshit that happened behind the scenes before that one came out. James is just figuring out this story and I totally get it. But man, I hope he hurries up. I want another Saw movie so damn bad. Stay tuned for more updates on when we'll be getting to see Jigsaw's next set of games. Speaking of the Scream franchise, we just had a little bit of an update there on the upcoming 8th entry. Hayden Panettiere, the actress behind Kirby Reed, who's featured in both Screams 4 and Scream 6, might be coming back for another even number sequel. Talking about her no-kill clause with her character, she specifically said, "You can ask, it doesn't mean you're going to get it." And there are loopholes. It took a couple films for them to bring me back into the Scream franchise, and obviously I wasn't in the last one. But I'm still alive and kicking in that universe, so I would be thrilled to come back whenever. This is such a tough update in my opinion. I love Kirby Reed. I think she's a great character, and personally, I think the whole idea of making her an FBI agent was really cool in Part 6. I just don't really want them to bring any more legacy characters back into the current state of Scream. They are absolutely ruining a lot of these characters, especially Sidney Prescott with that last entry. And I guess I kind of like the direction they took Gil Weathers in Part 7, but it was kind of just the same thing as Dewey, but way less interesting. At this point, I would rather Scream just continue with a whole new slate of characters, but obviously that's not going to happen because Spyglass likes money too much. I guarantee you Scream 8 is once again going to be one big nostalgia orgy with legacy characters out the wazoo, but will that trick work again on this audience? We'll just have to see. So will Kirby Reed be back for Scream 8? Only time will tell, but my guess is probably yes. Lots of crazy updates in today's video, but how do you feel about all these things and which one had you the most excited? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys all again for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.